Hi, my name is Todd Bigelow. Thanks for stopping in. This is just a short informal video series on business topics for freelance photographers. I've been a freelancer for 30 years. I'm a contributing photographer to Contact Press Images. I'm an adjunct professor of photography and photojournalism, the founder of the Business of Photography Workshop, and most recently, the author of the Freelance Photographer's Guide to Success Business Essentials. Thanks for stopping in, and I hope you enjoy the series. Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining me if it's your first time. We're going to do a short one today, a little bit lighter than some past topics. And I just want to give you a little insight into 5 things that you will almost assuredly experience as a freelancer related basically to the business side. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. I can assure you, and it probably comes as no surprise, that despite any sort of contractual obligation or, assurances from various editors and so forth, at some point, and probably sometimes frequently, you will not always get paid on time. Okay, this goes way back throughout my career. Back when I used to send invoices directly to photo editors who would then put them in to the process to be paid, I knew that certain photo editors were very slow and not to expect that payment sometimes for a couple of months. A lot of publications now and even some nonprofits have switched over to online platforms, payment portals that you put in your invoice, and oftentimes, just so you know, sometimes they will allow you to select terms that you'll get paid quicker, but you have to give up a percentage of your invoice, which I find, just abhorrent. I'm going to pay the company to pay me quicker. Not usually, not something that I'm going to accept. But anyways, the first of the 5 that I want to mention that you're going to come across as a freelancer is don't always expect to get paid on time. Okay, it's a difficult thing to try to budget as a freelancer. But you do have to account for the fact, and this just happened to me recently, that even if it states in a contract you'll be paid by a certain time, that it does happen where you won't. Okay, so just expect that. Second thing that you will almost assuredly encounter at some point as a freelancer is what I like to call the contract dump. Okay, I was just having a talk with a friend of mine, very good friend, an outstanding photographer, and we were kind of laughing back and forth by text because he's experienced it as well. The contract dump, what that means is basically that somebody's coming to you to do a shoot. You talk, you exchange emails, whatever the case might be. You agree that everything is good, let's go. And then usually within 12 to 24 hours of the shoot, they'll dump the contract. Oh, you get an email. Oh, we forgot, here's the contract. And unsurprisingly, it's not exactly what you had spoken about, even in the emails where it's written that you agreed to certain terms. And then the contract shows up and the terms are not at all what that you had agreed to. And when you respond, oftentimes what you get is, oh, I'm sorry, that's our standard agreement. Let me see if we can get this altered in time for the assignment. Okay. Is anybody going to admit to the fact that this is actually something that is, they set forth to do? Probably not. But it's happened to all of us. It's happened to me. It's happened to multiple of my colleagues. Again, recently, just in the last couple of weeks with a good friend. It happens, okay? Just know that I think the incentive for it to occur from the other side is that, okay, it's too late. You don't want to lose a job. You're going to go ahead and agree to it. I think it gives me more leverage when that does happen because the assignment has basically been arranged. If there's travel, which often the case, was for me and was for my friend recently involved, they know everything is booked. So the contract showing up at the last minute is leverage for me to say, look, we agreed to these certain terms. Always be respectful and nice because you want to get it done. But I'm not going to suddenly agree to a bad contract just because it's within 12 or 24 hours of a shoot. If I have to cancel the shoot and cancel my travel arrangements or whatever, I will. Okay, so the contract dump is something that occurs, not all the time, thankfully, but it does occur, and it usually means that the contract suddenly appears within, hours of a shoot. Third thing, you will absolutely be asked at some point in your career as a freelancer to work for free. Okay. It's either an outright request to work for free. I've seen, volunteers be requested from massive charities and nonprofits where when you look at their financial forms or IRS Form 990, which is what they file as a 501c3 as a nonprofit, these are some that are, millions and hundreds of millions of dollars they take in, and just huge, and they're always looking for free photographers when they clearly have the budget to pay for professional photography. You'll also get that. Well, you'll get exposure, what we call exposure as compensation, which is something that I absolutely fight against. Young photographers in school that are doing internships, I push for paid internships for my students if I can. But if at all, if there's any time when you're going to be looking for experience and exposure, some sort of compensation, it has to be very early on in your education. And even then, I'm not completely comfortable with that. But having said that, as a professional freelancer, when places say they don't have a budget, I've gotten many emails. I've gotten many requests for my images. I got one from the Food Network for an image to be used on a food truck for one of their shows. It was, I think, called the Amazing Food Truck Race, if I recall correctly. They wanted to plaster my image all over one of their trucks, and they told me they had no budget. This is the Food Network, okay? So clearly they were pushing the exposure, like that would amount to something. No, you need to pay for my work. So expect, as a third thing, to get asked at some point to work for free or for exposure. And you'll have to learn how to navigate that. The fourth thing that you will definitely experience as a freelance photographer is somebody stealing your work, somebody using your images without your right, without the rights that you've granted to them. It's an infringement. It's an unauthorized use. In the digital age, this is all too common. Infringement is pretty much a wildfire, in my opinion, at least in my experiences and with a lot of my colleagues. So expect that your work will be used without your authorization. The way to ultimately protect to the best of your ability is to register your work with the United States Copyright Office. And I've actually, done some videos on this too, so you can look back through the video archive here. And protect your work by registering it so that when you do discover that work has been used without your authorization, you can go ahead and use, the remedies at hand with the U.S. copyright law to, demand that the image stop being used and to seek any sort of settlement from them for lost licensing fees and so forth. Okay, so that's the fourth thing. The fifth thing, and we'll just stop at 5 because we could go on and on, but you will have, as a freelancer at some point, somebody come to you and ask you to use your work. And when they do, almost assuredly, happens all the time to me and has throughout my career, the person seeking the license, seeking to use your work, will basically tell you what it's worth. They're going to tell you what they're going to pay. And when you stop and think about it as a business person, does that really make sense? Have you ever really had the opportunity outside of maybe a yard sale, a garage sale, or a swap meet of some kind? Or maybe, some cool, market where you're, shopping for food and that it's, you can bargain and so forth. But do you have the ability to walk into, say, any retail outlet and tell the owner, tell the people that are working there what you're going to pay for a shirt, a microphone, a camera, a CF card, anything? I mean, it just doesn't make sense, right? So you need to know and assign the value of your own work. And again, I've talked about this in other videos, but expect, because it does happen as a freelancer, that the licensee will tell you what they're willing to pay. And I'm here to tell you that that's basically not how it works. I know the value of my work. I base it, on a variety of factors, one of which is, what the market will hold, one of which is what the photo software that I use, PhotoBiz, PhotoQuote by Craddock, which is the industry leader, what it, when you punch in the usage, what it kicks out a number for you. So what that value is according to the software, that's what I base it on. And I always try to find a fair valuation and find a way to make that license. But expect that others will come to you and say, hi, we found your work. We pay $75. Well, great. I'm glad you paid $75, but I can't walk into a fancy, steakhouse and say, hi, I'm here to eat your, steak that is on the menu for, a 5-course meal for $200, but I'm going to pay you $50. They're going to laugh you right out of the place. Okay, so those are 5 things. Again, to summarize real quickly, you won't always get paid on time. Expect a contract dump at some point in your career. You'll be asked to work for free or exposure. Almost certainly somebody will infringe your work at some point. And last but not least, a licensee or somebody that wants to use your work is going to tell you what it's worth instead of vice versa. Okay, so a real fun kind of short 5 things that you'll encounter as a freelancer at some point in your career. Okay, keep them in mind. You'll navigate through them, look back through the archive of these short videos, and you'll see that I address some of those topics individually. Okay, thanks so much for stopping back by. Always appreciate it. Share it with your friends if you can, if you think it'll help them, and I will see you next time.